When a brand new pirate joins the world of Sea of Thieves, their first big goal is to level up 3 of their factions to level 50 to reach Pirate Legend. For some it takes months, and for others it takes years to achieve this goal. But today I will show you how I got it in just 5 hours. I started out by resetting my pirate and picking a beautiful character to do this challenge with. I then server hopped with my crewmate Mifu until we found an active server. Being on an active server is exactly what we want. Not because we want to find these ships and sink them, but so they will fill up the spots in the server so no sweaty server hoppers waste our time when leveling up. To find an active server, look at the emissary tables at each of the turn-in spots and check for a little wooden boat. If you see one, that means someone is on that server running the faction's emissary. Try looking for 3 emissaries like I did here and then stock up the boat and get some loot. The question now is, what's the best thing to do to get Pirate Legend fast? The real answer to that is stacking Fort of the Dams, but you'll have to be lucky that nobody sees you while doing it. Stacking Fort of the Dams is a constant beacon for anyone who wants to PvP, even if you're not rocking a Reaper's emissary flag. And that's not what Mifu and I are looking for today. We don't mind PvP, but today we want to limit it so we can level up consistently and not waste our time on people trying to steal our loot. So instead of doing that player-activated world event, we decided to just do world events. And the one on our server now is a Fort of Fortune. You might think this is a bigger risk than going for the Fort of the Damned, but it's not. Mifu and I are going to be stacking loot for a long time, and if we choose to stack Fort of the Damned, the entire time the skull will be pointing to other players where to find us. But if we do this Fort of Fortune, the skull will be gone once we're done and another not so eye-catching world event will appear. Mifu and I arrived at the fort 13 minutes into this run, which is funny because it took us 13 minutes to complete it. Fort of Fortunes are actually really easy to complete. Just make sure you're using a sword and sword dashing as many skeletons as you can. Also make sure you throw water on the golden skeletons so you can one-shot them with the pistol. Or just aim for the one with the explosive. Now that we got all the loot from the fort onto our ship, it's time to tell you the biggest trick to leveling up your factions when stacking loot. Use the emissary flags. You might think, well, no, you think I'm stupid? Well, yes, because I know for a fact you're not doing it right. Let me show you the trick to maximizing your levels when stacking loot. You see, 99% of pirates just put on an emissary, stack until they get a bunch of loot, and then sell everything right then and there. But that's the problem. You're only getting 2.5 times the amount for just that faction that you put on. But Mifu and I's plan will allow us to sell almost every piece of loot at the maximum rate for each of the factions. First off, Mifu and I had to get the emissary flags in order to do this trick, so we sold a little bit of our loot until we hit the level 15 in the 3 factions we were leveling up. Now that we can buy these emissaries, it's time to put one on and reach grade 5. Remember, we only sold loot here because we needed to be level 15 to get an emissary flag. We kept all our other loot on our ship so we can sell it with our upcoming trick. As of now, a new world event has not popped up since we did the Fort of Fortune. So what could we do while we waited till another one spawned in on the server? I thought of doing a shrine or treasury for some quick money, or even a sea fort. But there's something else. A limited event was going on during this special day. It was Community Day, a day where any piece of loot you sell it will get you 2.5 times the amount of gold and XP, which is what made Mifu and I want to try getting Pirate Legend as fast as we could today. The event during this community weekend is called Pop-Up Plunder, where Sea of Thieves posts a map at a random time on Twitter, and you have to figure out where on that map the piece of loot is. So we headed to the island it was located on, and well, we just looked at the comments to figure out where we needed to dig, and we got some pretty good loot. Let's go!
Yeah, dude,
let's go, baby!
Woo! That's what we need!
Breath of the Sea can be sold to any faction, and they sell for quite a bit. After getting that valuable loot on board, we went to go do another world event. This one was a skeleton fleet. For some reason, this event everyone struggles with. So here's some pointers. Aim for the cannon line so they can't shoot back, and make sure you're shooting as low as possible on the galleons. And you should be good. Just make sure you don't sink, obviously. After completing a fleet and picking up all the loot, we reached grade 5 gold hoarder. Step 1 of this simple trick is complete. Now we need to make sure we have enough gold hoarder loot to reach level 50, which does seem like a lot of loot. But since today is community day, we won't need as much as a normal day. I mean, we are still gonna need a huge amount, which is fine for me because we got another Fort of Fortune on the server. Now we thought, how could we get even more loot while doing this? And luckily, Mifu's been picking up these bottles he found in the ocean where he can get extra loot from a shrine. So we marked all the shrine locations he needed to go to, and I left him on a rowboat to do the work while I went to the Fort of Fortune. As I headed over to the fort, I saw a sloop fighting a skelly ship. I really didn't think much of it and just made sure they didn't come to attack me. After finishing a couple waves on the fort, I noticed the ship was no longer there. I assumed that they sank. I headed over to where I saw the battle, and there was a free sea fortress just sitting in the water. This fort took me around 20 minutes as a solo slooper, but it's worth the delay as Mifu is getting a bunch of loot from his shrines. Once I killed the boss, I double checked for any tuckers on the fort, and then I saw a sloop in the distance, so I had to be careful. And once I went back to my ship, I heard something in the water. There's a guy swimming next to me.
Oh?
There is...
A little bit of a tuck play going on?
Yep. Ha! Almost. This guy didn't seem like a sweaty player at all, but he was determined to get our loot. I could barely get the loot from the fort before he came running back towards me. To be safe, I wanted to meet up with Mifu since he had just finished doing all his shrines. Then we could fight him together. So I ran until I found Mifu and we hooked up the rowboat to our ship. We didn't expect much of a fight from this solo player. He ended up defending my board, but luckily I got back onto the ladder. Once I got up, the fight didn't last long at all. Ahoy there, mate! If you want to go back to the Fort of Fortune, there's a lot of Athena stuff there for you. Mifu and I felt like we had enough loot to reach Gold Hoarder 50. We had 2 full Fort of Fortunes on board, a skeleton fleet, Megalodon loot, and with Mifu's rowboat effort, 3 total shrines. With our grade 5 emissary flag, this will sell for 2.5 times the amount than normal. And on top of that, since it was community day, add another 2.5 to make it 5 times total. If today were a normal Sea of Thieves day, we would have to do all this over one more time. A fun fact you probably didn't know is that when selling a chest of fortune, it will make your reputation go from 0 all the way to level 18. And that's without an emissary flag or a special event multiplier. So you can just imagine how much this chest is really worth to us right now. Once we were all done selling, we sat and watched the levels go up. 1, 2, 3. Yep, I counted all the way up until we hit the level of... Hey, 51, baby!
Dude.
All right. That's nuts. In just 3 hours and 30 minutes, we hit level 50 in one of the factions. Now it's time to level up the other factions. But this is where our little trick plays a huge part. You see, everything we've done today, like the forts, fleets, and shrines, these things give us a variety of loot, not just straight up gold hoarder loot. So now, instead of selling this entire stack like many people would do, we're gonna level up another emissary flag, and then sell the huge stack we have already on our ship. This gives us the maximum amount of gold and reputation we can get for each item. So as we sailed off with our brand new emissary, we went to complete another world event, a ghost fleet. We sailed around, took out each ghost ship, and finally finished it in 20 minutes. We sorted out all the loot again and we hit grade 5 Order of Souls. But before going to sell, we thought we might as well go grab another Ashen Wind skull from the Ashen Winds that popped up right in front of us. I think this is by far the easiest event in the game, especially since we had these wands from the old events we've done. After grabbing the skull and everything else, we went to sell all of our Order of Souls loot, making us around 720,000 gold, which is a lot more gold than we got for selling this stuff from the Gold Hoarder. But sadly, we were 3 levels short from being level 50. I think this is because of how much more XP the Chest of Fortune gives versus the Ashen Wind skulls. Even though we were short, it was all good because we saved some gems for moments like this. Bam! Level 50. It's time to level up our final emissary. I know for a fact we have a bunch of merchant stuff. There is no chance we come up short here. We sailed to our final world event and it was another Fort of Fortune. I can't believe in 5 hours we've had 3 of them spawn in. That's just some crazy luck. There was a brigantine at this fort and I thought shooting over to the island would be the best decision. I'm about to get their mast down here. That's 1. That's 2. Ha! Hit the guy. Ahoy there! They're going under a boat. That guy went flying, bro. This was such an easy fight, and I'm super happy they were doing the fort because we barely had to hit the boss to kill it. We grabbed all the merchant stuff in the fort, yes, even the kegs, and sold to the nearest outpost, ending off at 2.2 million gold earned today. We also reached well over level 50 in merchants. After buying the accommodations we needed, we talked to the strange man in the tavern and unlocked Pirate Legend. I can't believe it only took us around 5.5 hours to get Pirate Legend on Community Day. And today's journey isn't even over. The reason Mifu and I wanted to get Pirate Legend is so we can unlock the Athena Blessing in just one day. So if you want to see us unlock the Athena Blessing in just 8 hours, click this video here. Also, if you want to try winning a Season 10 Plunder Pass, read my pinned comment down below. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.